Hey, Ciph, good morning.
Good afternoon.
Good evening.
And good night.
And you seem rather chipper today, Ciph.
It's the middle of the day. We're recording at a different hour, so...
Well, and you're also audible this time.
Yeah.
Which is exciting, because
Yeah,
last podcast...
I heard I got chopped off last time.
Yeah. It was literally one of the most annoying experiences to not only have to deal with, but then also to edit afterwards and still...
Try to fix it.
Yeah, and it was still a bad fixing job. Do you want to tell the people who's with us today?
Well, I thought we were just going to have Large Professor / Extra P.
So did I. That's what
But
I
it
thought.
looks like it's a main source reunion.
Yo, Large Professor, that's
crazy.
what's happening?
K-Cut is
Yeah,
here.
that's exactly what's happening. Word, that's exactly what's happening. Word, K-Cut. Word, we got my man Rashad Smith in there. Getting loose.
Tumbling dice?
This
is...
Oh, that's Rashad Smith?
Yeah, of course,
Yeah.
of course.
That's tumbling dice.
Of course. Of course.
Yo.
I didn't even know. I never knew what you looked like.
Yeah, of course. No, right?
Holy shit.
Oh, yeah, I forgot. Y'all didn't meet when you and I met. That was separate. I forgot about that. Oh, so...
Was you mad at me for something?
Yes.
No, I thought you was mad at me for something.
But we cleared it all up.
Ain't nobody mad at nobody no
supposed to
more.
have you
Listen,
on.
I love you, bro.
That's it. All
I
of
love
you,
you
man.
too, bro.
Yeah.
It's all good.
We're supposed to have you on.
Yeah,
Don't talk too.
We're gonna work it out.
Don't give too much detail on this episode because you need your
Own
own
episode,
fucking
yeah.
episode.
Nice.
We'll keep it on.
Listen, man.
Nice.
This man right here.
No, but please still be
Yeah,
involved.
yeah, nah, we going. Yeah.
So what I want to do is what happened was I saw a thing last week that they were re-releasing. What's the name of the company doing the re-release again?
Vinyl Me, please.
Vinyl Me Please.
Yes.
I saw Vinyl Me Please was doing a special 25-year re-release of Breaking Atoms. And so I was like, wow, that's crazy. And then I keep looking and it says they have a reunion show at SOB's.
Right.
And I said, oh, shit, we're messing up right now. So I got Ciph on the phone, and fortunately, Extra P was made you guys available, and I didn't know that we'd have the whole squad here. So this is beautiful because it was very funny, Ciph, to listen to these guys do the podcast, this Vinyl Me Please podcast, because they're like just straight music nerds, right? But they're not like ultimate hip-hop heads. So
Wait, who?
The guys from Vinyl Me Please, the company that
You
did
did
the
a
re-release.
podcast with
No,
them?
they did a podcast.
Oh, they did a podcast.
Yeah, so when
On what?
They have a podcast called Vinyl Me Please, and their podcast was they do a podcast about their release. Each release.
Oh.
Their Vinyl Me Please is a subscription service.
Okay.
So once you pay a monthly, you get whatever vinyl they put out that month.
Oh.
So that's the
And they do not just hip hop.
No, not just hip hop. So
Wow.
their story behind for this album was so funny to me because it was the perspective of music heads who naturally, like a lot of people, if you weren't a super hip hop head, had never heard this album. Right, so he's like, I discovered it 6 months ago.
Wow.
No doubt.
And so it was very interesting,
Wow.
and they just fell in love with it, and they started asking people around like, how known is this album? What? And so it was interesting to hear it. Yeah, well, think about it. If you and I do not know the main source equivalent in many other genres.
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I'm
You're
saying? You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
it makes sense. You guys are a hip hop staple, but if I met some Joe Blow, Johnny Come Lately new hip hop, they wouldn't know. I wouldn't expect them to know
Right.
Breaking Atoms. So first of all,
that's true.
You know, so it was very interesting to hear. So first of all, congratulations. I'm glad someone's doing it.
Definitely.
Now, how does that work? They license it or something from?
Yeah, who do they call for that? Because it's Wild Pitch. How does it even work?
Right now, it's the fam.
no,
It's the fam. They had to call the fam.
They have the rights to it, so I don't know the extent of all of that. I don't know the extent of everything. You know, I just got wind
what
of
fam? The fam of whoever.
my
owned-
family. My family.
Oh, your
Yeah.
family
Yeah.
owned it. Oh, I
So,
see.
you know what I mean?
So they
it's
license it or whatever. They do some kind of deal,
I don't know what
and
they
then
Yeah, we be
So-
trying to stay out of the politics,
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
That's what the whole album is about the politics and staying out of the politics, man. You see where politics got
And
us,
is
man.
it only
Well-
coming out on vinyl?
Yeah, it's a vinyl release.
Yeah, they have vinyl.
Oh, just
then they have like an
exclusive
extra.
vinyl,
Yeah,
yeah.
they have a little extra
Yeah,
vinyl.
there's a
there.
bonus 45 too, which
Yeah.
you know I desperately
what?
to get. I forget. You know what's on the 45?
What's on the 45, BP?
I don't. Yeah.
Hold on, here we go.
Yeah, some other guys.
Yeah, you
What's
can.
going on, it's Baby Paul.
Baby Paul, get in there. Grab the mic.
Okay.
Yeah.
Peace, everybody. It's How My Man Went Down in the Game, which is a previously unreleased,
Yeah,
Yeah,
of course.
joint.
you know,
Right.
classic, and a remix of Peace is Not the Word to Play with extra verses from Large Pro.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Dope. Yeah. I
That's
know.
how they did that.
I
Right.
know. I just got a bootleg 45 for my jukebox. I didn't put it in
Another
yet.
one,
I
man.
got a
You
boot-
and Just Blaze with these bootlegs.
No, now hold on. Now I am not Just Blaze because Just there are question marks about how Just even creates, how some of these get created.
Right.
Mine was a common bootleg
Right.
that I bought that I found on Discogs. You might have seen it. It was the A side is is Faking the Funk.
Yeah.
And the
Oh, yeah,
B-side's
yeah,
like
I
a
saw-
sample or something.
Yeah,
It's like it's a
definitely.
very blatant bootleg.
Yeah, definitely.
It doesn't like look like the
Yeah,
record.
those come in handy though, man.
But those come in handy.
Definitely.
Now, I don't get it geeked. I'm not willing to pay an arm and a leg.
Crazy, yeah.
Now, how do you feel, Extra P? Because you're a record head. A lot of the record heads, like I find, hate. They really hate on some of these like Get On Down re-releases of 45s.
Yo, I think it's all good, man. Like some of that stuff wouldn't be available or would be through the roof if they weren't like re-releasing it. So I think that's beautiful, man. Like each one, it has their purposes. Every one of them have their purposes, and it's just where you're at as a collector, whether or not that's going to play a part in your collection or your set. So
before we get into Super Main Source Breaking Adams talk, how much of an actual like everyone knows you're a digger and that you guys all dug together and that you and the Beatnuts and Q-Tip, all these people dug together. How much of a collector are you though these days? Like,
that's more where I'm at with it now. It's like I'm more of a collector. Like before, it was just digging and just anything, any element. And now it's like I've got my collection down to where it's like real clean cut and. It's like the joints that I really have to have, man. But,
and did you have to get rid of some stuff as the years went on?
Well, I'm always giving records away and drum machines and all of that stuff. So
if you hear that?
He does.
I hear that.
I can't front. He's been doing that for years.
Tumbling Dice, grab the mic. Sorry, what do you mean the collecting?
Yeah, the records and the drum machines.
Drum machines, just
like
giving them
if I was down on the SP 1200 or something or 950, I'll call P up, and this is, I mean, back in the days, and he'd be like, "Yo, come get it."
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? He just give it to me. He'd be like, "Yo," he said, "Yo, that's you."
Records and all of that. So, some way, somehow, I know somewhere, if I need that record, someone has it somewhere. Yo, you still got that record? And,
it's funny that you say that. That's actually a very smart way and giving way of dealing with things
like
because
a bartering system almost.
It is. Well, especially because, like, for me, I'm at a point now. My wife, the woman in my building, shout out to Keisha, who works the front desk at our building.
Keisha, what up?
No, she ratted me out. I mean, confirmed ratted me out. She went to my wife.
It's something about records. It's something about records.
Something about she went to my wife and she was like, Alexa was like, "You get records like every day?" And I was like, whoa.
Wait, what do you mean, like delivered?
Yeah.
They
come in the mail because Discogs. I'm always.
You're a Discogs. Oh,
I'm on that.
You get the package downstairs. You open it up. You get rid of the evidence.
Yo, I just got one today because of this conversation because I realized that I didn't know where my copy was of, and I know I have it somewhere. I thought, but I don't know where, of your guys' record. The promo for your guys' record with Brand New Heavies, and that's on a promo 12-inch.
Yeah.
So a record like that I'm not going to see these days. You go on Discogs. I found it for like $3.
Yeah, definitely.
So I just order them. I'll order one copy for $3.
Discogs is amazing.
It's and a lot of people hate on that stuff too. They're like, you have to get your fingers dirty, bro. I got my fingers dirty enough.
Yeah. Believe that.
I love this.
Let me tell you something. When you got your starter kit already, you done got your starter kit from the 90s or even started from the 2000s, man. It's like getting your fingers dirty.
It's luxury now.
Let me
It's
tell you
a
something.
luxury for us now.
Okay.
I'd like to have another copy of this, so I'll go on the Discogs.
And like
clean it up.
Rosenberg uses his laptop to jerk off so much. His fingers are filthy from touching the keyboard. You know,
That's a very good point. I can't even.
Filthy. You know how much DNA is on that?
You can't use your porn machine as a DJ machine.
Yes.
Very confusing to put those things together. But so hold on, real quick.
That's funny.
How has the relationship with Main Source as a group been over the years? How is it now? There's obviously still one member who's not here. So so take us through Extra P. Yeah. Take us through like how your guys' relationship has gone in the years since Breaking Adams.
Well, I mean, we did have our blow up, after we came out with the project, we had our blow up where it was just, some guys that came into the business really early in the business and learned a lot of stuff hands on right there, while we were actually on stage. So we had our blow up. But I mean, between me and K Cut, like we was always cool, like always cool. Even and Sir Scratch, you know what I'm saying? Everybody was always cool. It was just, the industry kind of gave us the deal. They gave us the business.
Hold on, I'm calling.
gave us the business.
I'm calling foul ball right here.
Okay,
because
we are at ESPN.
Let's talk.
Because I mean, we do remember obviously the line, the projects, the PJs. Fuck them two DJs. That was aggressive.
Yeah, definitely.
So it wasn't.
Definitely. That's how I felt at that time.
Honestly,
No, it's not that bad.
Honestly, I thought the line was dope too myself.
Really?
I'm not gonna front.
The line was dope.
The line was dope.
But we dealing with hip hop, man. So it goes down like that. That's all.
So you guys were that was the roughest of points, was around that time?
Absolutely. That was pretty much like the only, because if that one came out, like no one would have even known like that there was anything like.
So how did you guys come to be? I mean, it's interesting, hearing your accent. Like you guys are Canadian,
right.
Extra P being from.
He gave me a little break. Yeah, let me. He's not as Canadian as we thought.
A lot of people think, these guys are Canadian. I was born in Canada.
Yeah,
but I was brought up in New York. I left Canada when I was 3 years old.
Wow.
So I grew up in New York. I went to public school, high school, junior high school, everything. I did everything here. Me and Large Pro
in Queens.
In Queens.
Wow.
Me and Large Pro.
They were in Left Rack.
Yeah, we were in Left Rack.
They were living in Left Rack.
Yeah.
Which building?
The Brisbane. Come on now.
Brisbane.
The
Yeah,
Brisbane.
no doubt.
Come on, man.
Yeah, that's right.
The
That's
Brisbane.
right.
I like the names.
You know what I mean? The Brisbane building, man. Come on, man.
All right,
You know what I mean? So it was we met in high school.
In high school.
You know what I'm saying? There was Paul's friend, Large Paul's friend Van.
Yeah,
I was
Van
hanging out with Van. Me and Van was me and him were like real cool friends, and we used to cut school and go to Green Acres Mall and stuff like that. And we were just talking about like, yo, I want to do a group, and he said, yo, you got to speak to my man Paul.
Hey,
You know what I mean? So from there it was just like,
He was DJing at the time.
Yeah. That was the thing, like, after school, like, that was just like a after-school hobby, like, you know what I'm saying, going after school and just everybody gathering their records and bringing their records and getting loose on the turntable. But I was just more into, like, being multifaceted with, like, yo, I get on the mic here, do some beats here and all that kind of thing. So, yeah, that's
So
how
why
that all came about.
why did you guys being Canadian stick with you so much as part of like who people think of you as?
you know what?
I think-
First things
I think I
first,
know a
right?
little
First
bit.
things first. Like we never really spoke out about anything and been on media to talk about where we're from and any of this. You know what I mean? We just let everything draw out the way it drew out. So we never got to say anything. So these were other people's perspective of like who we were and yo, these guys are from Canada, they're not from New York or whatever. So people never knew. You know what I'm saying? So this is like officially like the first time that that everybody can really know that I was brought up in New York. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I only went back to Canada like in 94, 95. You know what I'm saying? And that was like after the group broke up, and that was when I had gotten married. So it was just like, you know what, the group broke up. I was depressed. It was just like, yo, my wife's out there now, so it's like I'm moving out there. So that's when I moved back to Canada.
And you went to Toronto?
Yeah, Toronto.
And
I think a lot of it how we found out was because I know a lot of people in Toronto, and they let you know that if anything is popping from Toronto, this was before
You may
Toronto
be right.
was like a city that it is now that is so popular because of the Drake, Little X, the Raptors, all that shit. Before that, anyone from Toronto would come down here and they'd be like, he's from Toronto, right? That guy
That's
from
a
Minnesota is
very
from
good
Toronto.
point.
I need y'all to know that. They want you to know it.
And
They're proud, though.
Of course.
He's from here.
And so where did Tom Lindice, where did you fit into the equation?
Well, me, you know what I'm saying, like my association with P, like I used to just come around and, you know what I'm saying, we'd talk about records and beats.
Yeah, he was bringing through some heat too. He was like,
yeah, I mean,
Tom
I
Lindice
was
bringing
back
through some
then.
heat.
Yeah,
Back then, yeah.
Damn, I didn't even know you was around.
I was, young dude coming out, you know what I'm saying, because I was going to Hillcrest from Brooklyn, Hillcrest High School, and so I used to always be out in Queens, hooked up with P, and we started, talking about records, and he actually mentored me on the SP and just learning how to chop up stuff, because I was so amazed by the whole Paul C thing, but I never had a chance to go to those studios, you know what I'm saying, at that time.
Me too, because
Of course. I'll get my man, you know what I'm saying? But word, man, just the whole main source crew, man, like they kind of took me in, man, because I was like, you know what I'm saying, I was thirsty to try to really just learn how to do everything, because all I was doing was just pause loop tapes, man, at the house. So I didn't have no equipment, you know what I'm saying? But, I would, come around every once in a while and be like, yo, P, yo, K, I got the here's my arrangement. So I would have like, I'll take like a whatever, a skull snaps, and I'll loop that for like maybe about 4 or 5 bars, and then I'll have the next bass line, jazz joint, and then had that. And so I'd be like, yo, man, P, can you help me?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Assemble this and help me out.
If we ever needed like someone to stand in for someone, like that's the perfect right there.
So basically, I'm a extended member. So I'm like an extended member of Main Source.
Honestly, I got to tell you, I didn't really know that either. I feel like a bit of a douche nozzle.
Nah, it's all good.
No, I'm not trying to make it all right. I should have known more. This piece of work, though, really, to me, Ciph, I don't know about you, but like, it kind of sits out particularly in hip hop history for like
Adams.
Yeah, for how iconic a debut it is, for how young you guys were. How old were you when you guys were working on the album? How old were all of you guys?
17, 18.
Yeah, 17, 18.
Yeah, you never sounded like it.
Yeah, right? It was like, yo, who's
exactly
this blues? Who's this
man coming out, you know what I'm saying?
Who's this
eating
blues,
big
hip-hop blues guy with all these
big
blues?
Big plate.
It is one of those interesting things like that it's so important within hip-hop.
Right.
Did you have you always felt like it's gotten the props it's deserved? Like, do you hear about it from someone every day? You always have. Do you get enough personal props that like you feel like it made its impact?
Oh, definitely. And it's like quiet. It's quiet. It's not with all that hoopla. It's like when someone comes and they, pardon me, when they're saying like, yo, the song, like you could see them, like you could hear their voice like trembling, and they're like, yo, man, you were, so I'll take one of those opposed to a million empty. Hey, man, Main Source was, you know what I'm saying, where it's like, they didn't really feel that. They might have just known from the, the Nas story or something, whereas some people, they like, I've had people come up like, yo, that song changed my life. Like, and look, like, telling me, like, yo, look at me. Like, that song changed my life. And, like, when you get that kind of stuff, like, that's the best.
Wait, you said you took the train here today, right?
Yeah,
like,
definitely.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
I love that. And that's where
you can live
normally,
a regular life.
Definitely. Like, that's where I normally get that love. Is just like, yo, wow, P, yo, oh man, yo, and we passing. You know what I'm saying? We right there at the Deuce or whatever, and we passing. He's like, yo, man, I always wanted to tell you, and it's dope because like. The people they respect, like they like, yo, man, I see you here, you chilling, you making your moves or whatever, man. I just want to tell you, I'll be like, yo, what's your name? Yo, man, boom, and they just keep it moving, man. And that's hip hop. You know what I'm saying? That's hip hop to me.
Did it? Say, if I always have to get in everyone's pocket.
Yeah, get in your pocket.
I have to get in everyone's pocket.
Why not?
Business wise, extra P. Was this album the biggest thing for you business-wise, or was it other stuff? Wait, what was the... No, because you started then getting straight up... I'm so Ciph. Can I set up my question?
You already put a business stamp on it.
You get mad when I dive right in. Fine. How much in your bank account? No. So what were the projects after this? Obviously, you started getting the outside production.
Every other project that came after it. Like, that artwork is so symbolic, man. Like, just all of the sparks flying from the needle hitting the record, man. And now, that was Ock, that was Nas, that was Rashad, that was like the next Main Source with Mikey D. Like, all of that came
Pete
out
Rock's on the album.
Word, Pete Rock. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's that album, man. Like, for us, man. Like, it was like benchmark joint.
So it wasn't that it made such an impact in your life directly financially, but it led to just so many
in the long
things.
run. It was a long-term investment. You know what I'm saying? I'm definitely still out here living and eating off of that.
Right, in
sure.
many ways.
Yeah, definitely.
And Ciph, speaking of Large Pro being like such a regular dude, like, see, because it's a hard balance, Extra P, because we interact with, I guess, a few different varieties of legends. Mm-hmm. We have the legends who we meet, and they're just crushing it, right?
Yeah.
You have the Jay-Z's, right?
Kanye.
And Kanye.
Yeah.
Then you have there's the very bitter and underpaid and underappreciated, and it's I'm sure you have a relationship like this with people. You love them and you appreciate them, but you also feel kind of bad because it's kind of not fair what happened, right?
Right.
And then you have the people like you who are not superstars. They live a nice regular life.
Yeah.
They're happy.
Yeah.
Everything turned out great. They weren't trying to go on and become Michael Jackson.
Right.
They just became professional musicians who did nicely.
Yeah.
And so Extra P is a guy like that who, like, one day, for example, I don't know if you remember this a few years ago.
That rooftop you talking about.
I'm at some rooftop party.
Yeah.
My wife's friends having a party outside, and they hired a DJ. The DJ is Extra P.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yo, is Large Professor DJ this random party right now?
Extra P.
How did that happen?
Yeah,
Slipping through the cracks.
Yeah, I don't know.
I love it.
Like, was that just a friend of a friend? Someone just wanting to DJ?
Yeah. And that's the beauty of New York. Like, that's why I would never leave New York, because it's like someone could call me, like Summer Stage called me, like, yo, we need you in like an hour. We got XX. And I'm like, I can do it. Yeah, I was just washing clothes. I can do it. You know what I'm saying? For real. Like, and jump on the 7. Yeah, jump on the 7 and zip. I'm definitely not getting caught up in no traffic. So I'm, taking it the easy.
Are you ever surprised when you go back and look at this album, like that you were even capable of doing it at the age that you were?
Oh no, definitely. We knew what we were trying to the impact that we were trying to make, man, with that project. I swear, like, once it got into that phase of, like, looping and chopping records, like, that was all that we wanted to do, was just like, yo, how do we get the vocals out of this record? How do we chop around it? And like, once those...
Basically make instrumentals out of old records. Yeah.
Once that started coming about, where it was like, oh, wow, and it was wildfire from there, and just like, I mean, from having the blend technique, like in DJing, and being able to put this record that blends in the same key as the other, man, that's, that was just like a gift from God, man. Like, God was like blessing us, like,
Where'd you record it?
Libra Digital out there in Steinway Street, man.
Oh, wow.
We was right there on Steinway Street. Word.
Steinway
Street. Yeah.
I worked in there.
And yeah, definitely. Yeah. And Power Play, of course, man. Power Play. Definitely. Yeah.
And then, this album, you know what it is? Because you were the same age. What year did this come out?
91.
91. So that's 25. Leaders come out?
Leaders came out.
Like, you were the same
came out
age
right before.
as Leaders of the New School.
Yeah.
But their whole album is about being in high school and growing up.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Your shit is
like, yo, I'm out in
life.
the streets with my friends.
Right.
Like, I'm hanging out with my friends. Like, front door.
And literally, like, the same age. Yo, you got fucking looking at the front door.
Sounds like you're 40.
What do you know about breaking up with a girl? What high school girl are you kicking out?
Right.
Yeah, like, where are you? But seriously, though, like, how were you tapping into stories like that? Like, you only had so much life experience.
Yeah, exactly. Nah, I know where it comes from now, man, and one day I'll probably build on it, man. It's deep rooted, man. It's deep.
It is.
It's deep. When I found out, when I looked at it the right way one day, I was like, wow, could have been this? So I don't know. Like, later on, maybe I'll, elaborate.
And the thing is, I like.
It must have been real because it's 25.
Yeah,
when's later going to come? We're here right now.
Honestly, that should be in a book.
Yeah. That's like, the book joints. Yeah.
Well, what's funny is I actually like burnt bacon.
I think I did too. I think on the ends, like the ends used to. I think I did too. Yeah,
no. There's been many an assistant who worked for Cipha who had to get his bacon order burnt. I've heard.
Hold on. We fight every night. Now that's not
kosher.
Yes,
thank you very much.
That's crazy.
That's crazy. Now here's a question I have for you. Do you know the rules, Extra P, of what kosher is?
Well, according to, around my way, which I grew up with old types, everybody.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It was just something slick that we said on the street, and it's like, yo, dogs, that's not kosher right there.
No doubt.
You know what I'm saying? And that was basically what that was.
Because I was very surprised last week because I was my buddy Ballard hit me up, and he was like, hey, I said something to my Jewish coworker, and he said this, I'm confused. And he was like, what does this mean? And he had texted him something like, the guy was going to a spot, and Ballard said, make sure you get the bacon, blah, blah, blah. And the dude was like, oh, ha, and made a joke that made it clear he's obviously kosher.
Right.
And so Ballard was like, can you guys not eat bacon?
Oh, wow.
And I was like, Ballard, you're one of the most cultured people I know. You don't know that Jews can't eat bacon?
Yeah. Right, and he probably wanted some mayonnaise on it, too, or something like that. Crazy, right?
No meat and cheese together.
Exactly. Yeah. That's crazy.
He was like, I'm sorry, I don't care about religion. I was like, no, I appreciate that. I know. But
I learned that at King David out there in Rockaway. I went to King David, and I asked for cheese, and like my homegirl that was with me, she looked at me like I was like crazy. She was like, "What? What are you?"
Well, where were you? Or what was the place you were ordering?
King David.
King David was
it's the sandwich spot. The crazy sandwich spot.
But it's a Jewish spot.
Yeah, the crazy sandwich spot.
So it's kosher, everything's kosher. She ordered some cheese, they look
cats over there. Cats, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, Cats, but Cats isn't kosher.
Right.
I thought it was.
Nah, Katz's, I think you can get.
King David
you get a
kosher,
cheeseburger
though.
in Katz's.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
King David's is kosher. Word.
Yeah, it was the official.
Yeah, definitely.
So what's your
hold on, I just want to say.
Go ahead.
Main Source. This album means a lot to me because
it's one of your favorites, right, Ciph?
One of my favorites, and I almost didn't get it.
What happened?
Because I was with my sister's father and my sister. My sister had a different father.
Of course.
And then his girlfriend. And we was in a mall, and I had saved up $15. And I was like, I'm buying a CD today. And I went, and it was between...
I know I've heard this before.
Yeah,
I've heard it.
It's between Main Source and Terminator X.
In the Valley of the GV.
Oh, wow. Wow.
And then my stepfather was like, yo, that one's cheaper and it got more songs on it.
Bargain digging.
And I was like, yeah, but I like the artwork of this one. And I think I heard their song on Video Music Box. I like this one better. But
Main Source?
Main
Yeah.
Source. He was saying the Terminator X one was cheaper.
right.
More song. And then the video for Looking Out the Front
Door was starting to...
And I was like, yeah, but I think I like this one. But Terminator X did have...
Yeah, there was Buck Wildin was on that, wasn't it, or something like that? Buck Wildin,
it had a couple.
So they both had singles. So I was like, which one?
You made the right call.
Yeah, I think so. I think so.
You did. All due respect to the great Terminator X, I think you made the right call.
Yeah, definitely.
What's your number one on this album? Do you guys have a number one?
It varies. Yeah, daily it varies.
I mean, culture-wise,
Live at the Barbecue.
Live at the Barbecue is just.
I really like Just Hanging Out too, man.
I like
Just Hanging Out, man.
Just Hanging Out.
I like Snake Eyes.
Yeah, Snake Eyes came out the gate came out the gate barking on them.
There's tons of them, man. That you just like
Peace is crazy.
You have like some days you might feel like
baseball
listening
is
to this
crazy.
song.
Yeah, baseball.
Song, you know
baseball.
what I mean? It's a mood thing, but overall, like I think I don't know. I love the record.
How often do you still listen to the album?
I listen to it.
Well, I mean, I have to perform it, so I'm like all over the place, still performing it. So
you hear it all the time on the radio.
Almost Rapier.
Yeah.
That's right. He did this one?
He gave me the loop for it. He gave me the loop for it, like that. Yeah. Yeah,
he was steady giving people loops back then.
Yeah.
Like in the very early days. He was always...
Definitely, yeah. But can't rhyme. They probably think, And that's gangster right there, like that tempo and everything. And that's what they love down Cali. Like they knew, they was like, yo, it's kind of gangster, right? Because baseball was big in Cali.
Really?
Yeah. It was in the Boys in the Hood soundtrack.
That's right, in the Boys in the Hood soundtrack.
Yeah.
They came back and got it.
Version though, right?
No. The actual, the one they had on the vinyl, they tried to do a little,
they just
mix some clicks on it, but nah, it was the real one in the movie.
Okay. Yeah, that's the remix.
Right.
For baseball.
Wait, this is a different version?
Yeah, that's not the original. That's the remix.
And they put that on the soundtrack. But when it played in the movie, they played the original.
The original,
Why stuff like that always happens?
Yeah.
Now, and how did was
oh, this one? Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Go ahead, sir.
Oh shit! Yeah, that's the
original.
Hit.
Yo, I stayed
comes in so
I stayed
hard.
in the house all day. It was a hot summer day. I stayed in the house all day. I could have been out chilling, running around with the chicks and everything. Like I stayed in the house, man. And something just, I wrote that whole thing, and we had the studio that night or something like that, man. And I sat there and wrote that whole thing. And that, normally I did my little things in pieces. Like I do a verse here and tell them like, yo, we're gonna come back on this. But that one I wrote like
I remember when
straight.
you did it twice though. You came back and you fixed it up too, right? So I remember the day that we went in the studio and Large Pro dropped the lyrics on that. I was like, wow, we got something.
Yeah,
crazy.
and then we just started designing like. Because we just we would start off with the loop and the rhymes or whatever. Then we started designing and putting this record in there and that.
So what do you mean? So go into that a little bit more. By designing it, you mean just adding the flavor?
Yeah, adding like the horn on it or
you
know,
had
doing
the
drop
drum loop,
there.
the Lou
we had that.
Donaldson.
We had that Lou Donaldson running, and then it was a matter of like customizing it now, like to the lyrics and everything, and that's. Well, we love that part of it.
Yeah, why don't people do that, yo?
Yeah, yo. I mean, in Libra Digital, the thing that was great with Libra Digital is they had the Synclavia. Synclavia. That thing was $1 million machine at that time, man. Quincy Jones was like the only one who had that, and Stevie Wonder. And they had a Synclavia.
Keyboard or?
Yeah,
it's like the joint with the computer on it, right?
With the computer, the first joint.
I think Teddy Riley might have had
it. Yeah, Synclavia, word. And so, all of that impossible, crazy. How did they do that stuff, man? That was Tony P, right? Yeah, Tony P used to be like
Tony P.
Yeah, Tony P.
He's the engineer.
He was the engineer from Libra Digital. And Tony A was the manager. Yeah. It was the two Tonys that
ran the spot.
Yeah,
I met a guy. I don't remember when it was, and he told me, "Did Kane record there?"
Of course, that's the first one who started. That's the first one who started recording.
I met some guy, and he was like, "Yo, I used to work in a studio. I think his name was Tony.
Tony P.
I used to work in a studio, Libra Digital.
Yeah,
and I was like, oh, I never heard of it.
That's a very famous studio.
Yeah,
and he was like,
very from New York.
He was like, tell
Iconic.
Mr. C. Mr. C will know me.
Yeah,
I was like, okay, yeah, whatever.
And that's Synclavia. Man, that piece, man, that was a big piece at that time, man. That thing was like clocking in at like late 900s up to $1 million. Like that piece was.
How does one get that for their studio?
Larry Smith had that joint too. That's what he did, like all of the Houdini stuff on there. And, yeah.
Nah, they were some good fellas over there. I'll leave it at that. You know what I'm saying?
They figured it out.
Fellas, yeah, they figured it out.
Good
And there's some good fellas over there.
You know what I'm saying?
Just leave it right there.
Yeah, those some good fellas, man. I like them. They good fellas.
Were you guys? What about?
Hey, some Mouillon recording
it. Did you guys make Faking the Funk at the same time you made the rest of the album?
Nah, Faking the Funk came later.
It was straight. You guys straight made that for the soundtrack?
Word. They came to us for the soundtrack and was like, "Yo, we need a song."
White Man Can't Jump. That is, of course.
Yeah, and
I was in your crib.
Yeah.
Right into the mic. Talk right into the mic.
I was in Paul's crib. Yeah. And he brought the loop.
Yeah.
And he put the drums together and he was like, "Yo, okay, finish this."
Yeah.
And I was
we had we used to run me and Neek and Rashad and Kev, like we used to just ride around in not dollar cabs, but like in the cabs, the system cabs.
Yeah, I remember that.
Word, just playing the beat for
like,
Faking the
with
Funk.
a cassette tape back.
Word, play the tape. Like we going riding to go get out, you know what I'm saying, our accessories and everything. Yep. And then word, we playing that.
What accessories? Yo, I need a pocket square.
Ask Kane screamed on me for getting my accessories one day, man. But it was so it was only right, man. Like for real. It was,
I see. And by the way, it's so perfect.
Yo, we got stories for days, man. We got stories.
Hey, Rashad, if there are any that stick out in your mind right now, please just feel any of the ones that.
I'm gonna let this man.
And the ones
now you got your own episode coming up, man. You good, man?
Right.
I'll come.
But the thing is, but remember, this is about breaking Adam. So, like, if there's anything that you guys remember from those sessions, specifically people being around. Well, how about the recording? Have we even really delved into the recording of Live at the Barbecue and how that came together from a recording standpoint?
Wow.
That was Homeboy Studios, right?
Wow, right. That's what the name of it. Yo, I was trying to think. I was talking to Nas last night. I said, yo, remember we went down to that studio on 54th Street or whatever? Yeah. That's what it was called.
That was the last song.
That's where Salam
Remy
lived in that same building. And they had like a few studios in there. Word, that's where we knew Salam from.
Homeboy Studios?
Yeah, Homeboy Studios.
Puff used to work up out of there because Puff lived in there too.
We right there, maybe 56. It was the next block over from where the Red Zone was. Yeah, it was right there, like the next block from where the Red Zone was, and Sony.
Live at the Barbecue was the last song.
That was the last song
on the album that we had to do because we turned in the album. And Stu Fine was like, "Y'all need another song."
Yeah,
and we were like.
And we were always like messing with Barbecue. Like we had that beat up a few times, and we did a few attempts at it. And it was just like when they said, "Yo, we need this extra song," we just went in and solidified it.
I'm gonna tell you something weird.
Whoa! Hold on, Ciph. Before you tell that story, we are gonna take a break here. This will be part 1 of the Main Source episode. So a shout out to Main Source. That show is at SOBs next week, and make sure you cop that re-release of Breaking Atoms. Main Source Part 2 coming next week. Juan Epstein.